Some cases were never solved. Some calls were never traced.
On a night train, the sounds of the tracks are constant. But at 2 a.m., one student heard something else. A rhythmic, deliberate knock originating from inside a solid metal wall. This occurred during an October 2012 trip. 32 college students and 2 faculty members were 6 hours into a journey through the American countryside. At 1:40 a.m., Ethan, Marcus, and Lily stood up from their seats near the back. Lily told the group she wanted some air, and the 3 of them walked toward the rear door of the carriage. At 2:15 a.m., the teacher moved through the aisle for a head count. The 3 seats at the end of the coach were empty. 35 minutes passed between the group standing up and the discovery that they were gone. In that window, 3 people left a crowded room and never arrived at the only available exit. The carriage was a closed environment. It had 1 entry and 1 exit, and the conductor had manually locked the outer doors earlier that night. To leave the carriage, the students would have had to pass back through the main aisle or force a deadbolt. The train logs show the speed stayed constant, and the door sensors recorded no activity. No one opened a door, and no one used the emergency brake. A search of the interior turned up nothing. The students' backpacks and phones were still at their seats, and the storage compartments were empty. With the doors sealed and their belongings left behind, the search radius was forced back to the interior of the coach itself. The conductor noticed a patch of heavy fog on the window of the rear door, the only window in the carriage that was completely opaque. When he wiped the condensation away, he found 3 sets of handprints. They were pressed hard against the glass from the inside, as if 3 people had been trying to push their way through the pane. The marks were distinct, showing the level of force required to clear the condensation and leave defined impressions on the cold glass. These prints suggest the students were actively struggling against the physical boundary of the train. Information found on other students' phones added a layer of detail that the physical inspection could not account for. It began with an audio recording from 2:02 a.m. In the background of that recording, investigators isolated 3 metallic knocks and a muffled voice. The acoustic signature indicates the sound came from behind the steel wall, not the open air of the carriage. A photograph taken at 1:58 a.m. showed the 3 friends standing by the door. While the rest of the carriage is in sharp focus, the faces of Ethan, Marcus, and Lily are blurred. It is a loss of detail that doesn't match the motion of the train or the camera. Days later, a burst shot sequence was discovered. In frame 1, the students are standing by the door. In frames 2 and 3, their opacity drops to translucent outlines. By frame 4, the space is empty, showing only the floor and door. Vector lines prove they didn't walk out of the frame. They ceased to be captured by the sensor while standing still. The microphones and cameras captured a sequence of events that the physical layout of the train should have made impossible. Maintenance workers who service these long-haul routes talk about dead zones, isolated stretches of track where mechanical equipment and radios behave erratically. The older crews have a standing rule for these areas. If you hear knocking from inside a wall, you do not knock back. This technical report from the investigation shows a localized drop in temperature inside the rear wall panels. This specific section of the carriage was significantly colder than the surrounding metal. The presence of this thermal anomaly suggests that a specific section of the carriage wall became a point of intersection with the environment outside. Months after the disappearance, the railway company took the carriage out of service and began a total teardown. Technicians removed the interior panels and peeled back the thick industrial insulation near the cold spot, exposing the train's raw metal hull. On the interior side of that metal, the side that should have been inaccessible, were 3 sets of parallel scratches. Each set consisted of 3 long lines and 4 short ones, gouged directly into the steel. The students remained within the structure of the train, trapped in the tight gap between the insulation and the hull. If you ever find yourself on a night train and hear a knock from the wall beside you, consider the marks found behind the paneling. Some knocks are best left unanswered.